Welcome, sir. House Bill 368 by Representative Moss. Thank you, sir, for your diligence and being willing to come back with your bill from the last time you appeared before the committee to update us on what has transpired. And I want to thank you all for being back before the committee as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you to the committee. My apologies for running late. I was in committee at the other end of the building, and we just got finished. But last time I sat in this chair, it was quite interesting, I will say that at the least, because I wasn't quite aware of everything that was going on with the Physical Therapy Board. But since then, I think that using what I was presenting as a bill is something that we can actually capitalize on so that we can, put in motion structure and procedure that this board can actually work off of. I have had numerous phone calls with Ms. Charlotte Martin, and we've kind of structured a plan together so that this bill, so that what we have can be amended and we can make this bill into something positive for the association and for the patients out there. And I think that over the past probably we were here 10 days ago, Madam Chairman, I've seen a lot of positive movement. I've seen a lot of things change within their board, and what I'd like to do is go ahead and let Ms. Martin, since she's the director, go ahead and tell y'all what has been in place and the meetings that we have had. Ms. Martin.
All right, thank you. Ms. Martin, welcome.
Okay, thank you. I'm Charlotte Martin. I'm the Executive Director of the Louisiana Physical Therapy Board. Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee, and thank you to the two courageous women who testified 2 weeks ago. Since we last met, the board has had 2 special board meetings. During those meetings, they decided to start new with legal. So we do have a temporary attorney who is currently providing legal counsel to the board. Her name is Ms. Celia Cangelosi, and she is present here today. The board also has plans to post for attorney positions and allow for an opportunity for individuals to apply with the board and interview with the board before entering into those contracts as well. At the last meeting, I misspoke to the committee, and I want to clarify to you all. I do not have a list from the district attorney. The district attorney, Mr. Moore, cannot by law give names of survivors who come forward. Mr. Moore did agree to send correspondence on our behalf to the survivors who have come forward. I do have this correspondence available to the committee if you'd like to review it, but it is a letter letting them know that we exist, our purpose, and how to report. We've also reviewed many training options for the board. We're looking at immediate training options in the near future. We still do have open investigations right now, and we realize the importance of communicating with the individuals who have come forward to our board. And also, we need to understand the psychology of trauma and all that goes with that. So we are reviewing training right now, and we do plan to have that completed in the near future. And then also through orientation for our board members, our staff, and other representatives who work on investigations during orientation and for annual training opportunities. We have been in contact with the State Office of Inspector General. We have requested that they review our investigative processes and provide recommendations to us. And we discussed with them some potential draft amendment language that could be presented today. And the State Inspector General did confirm that they can do this, they're willing to do this, and they're not opposed to the language that would be in the amendment. This is an incredibly important issue for this board. They take the concerns of this committee very seriously. And I want to let you know that we're here. We appreciate the opportunity to be here and answer your questions today. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. And Ms. Cecilia Cangelosi?
Yes, Senator. I was hired by the board last Wednesday, so I've had, not many days to work with them, but we worked together on the letter to the district attorney. We've worked together on the the amendment to the bill and the ways to make the physical therapy board more aware and in their processes better. And the board is vested with the interest in keeping that going forward.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll read the cards. Julianne Harris, here, president, willing to provide information with the Louisiana Physical Therapy Board. Judith Halverson, also with the board, available for information. President not wishing to speak. Christopher Franks, also willing to provide information with the board. Catherine Britton, also with the board. Tyra Mitchell with the board. And Marie Vasquez, also with the Louisiana PT Board, president, willing to provide information. We have Jenny Hall available and will provide information. Lori Jennings, Irzola Cleaves with the Sexual Trauma Awareness and Response Organization, willing to provide information. Casey Walker, president, will provide information. And Morgan Lamondre, also present and will provide information. Senator Walsworth for a question. We have Mr. George Papali, who is present, and he would like to speak. Go ahead, Mr. Senator Walsworth.
I was just trying to listen to, and you talked about the training and orientation and annual. When is orientation, when is annual, and when is like next week?
Yes. So
Can you sort of, I think there's a need for immediate training, not just annual and orientation.
and I agree with you.
Okay.
So whenever I was speaking of orientation, I was speaking of for new board
For
members.
new board members.
Yes, any new attorneys, new staff, anybody would need orientation as well as an annual ongoing training. I do have, there are 2 live opportunities that we have been in contact with one of the advocacy groups who said that there's one in Baton Rouge and New Orleans in June, and our board member who is on the investigation right now is in New Orleans. So we are trying to find other opportunities that are more immediate as well. We've read articles on this information as well, but we are definitely in agreement with you that moving forward quickly on the training is important. And we've been in contact as well with an organization that has been looking at customizing a training for us that would be focused on disclosure of survivors and how that disclosure occurs, as well as the psychological process of trauma so that we can understand, and then sensitivity and communication. And they said that they can customize it for us and we can work with them. So I have all of that information here if you'd like to see it, but I don't know how detailed you want to get.
What kind of fund balance do you have right now in the board? Does the board have, let's just say, in a roundabout, I mean, you don't have to give me an exact number, but your fund balance, how much money do you have in the bank?
On our operating?
Yeah, I mean, how much money do you have, does the board have in the bank? You don't have any money in the bank?
No, the board is financially
stable. Can you tell us how much money you have in the bank?
Yes, the board has. I'm trying to think because it's just the end of renewals. About $1 million in the bank.
Okay.
Approximately.
And how much is your annual expenses, give or take?
Approximately $600,000.
All right. So where I'm going with this tells me you got about $400,000 that you could use, and you can find somebody to do the training immediately.
Yes.
Okay. That's okay.
Yes.
Immediately, not in a few months. Please. I think it's very important that you do that immediately. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Walsworth. Yeah, and I totally agree that you all should work and identify a professional that has the appropriate expertise to be able to quickly, considering what has occurred and the pending investigations, that you have someone that can complement your new legal counsel in you.
That has been something that we've pressed in meetings also, myself, because this has to happen now.
Right.
I understand that there is a history, but we also have to look forward with this
Of
board,
course.
and they have to move quickly. And that's from me, because I'm sitting here with this bill.
Yeah,
And
thank
something
you.
has to be done. And as I told them, this is not over, because next year I'll be back amending something else on this.
Yeah,
Because
well-
we're not going to be perfect coming off the start with this. The board isn't, but we plan on working through it, Madam.
Look, and Representative Moss, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your leadership on this and your just fluid being able to evolve with everything that we learned in a short period of time.
Yes, ma'am.
And you too, ladies, and the leadership that you've shown in the chair. So I would just encourage you, because I understand that the board has emergency powers and that it may be urgent. This could rise to the level of some urgency to be able to move forward quickly. And to Senator Walsworth's point, you have the resources available clearly.
They do.
And so there really should not be an excuse to quickly evaluate, different experts that can help you. There are no further questions. I want to permit, if you would permit Mr. Papali to come to the table.
Well,
He
Madam
is.
Chairman, we do have amendments.
Oh, yeah, okay. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Mr. Papali, come on up. We have an amendment that was described that you shared with us.
Yes, ma'am. We have 5 of them on here. I think that they're being.
Okay, Senator Morrell offers up those amendments.
Thank you.
All right. You want to go ahead and hit just the summary of them quickly?
Well, the summary of it, you can see Amendment 1 is basically to enact and to amend for the Louisiana Physical Therapy Board that says to provide. The Second Amendment basically says after database, which is originally where the bill came from, is to provide for reports for allegations of professional sexual misconduct. That's just kind of an overview, and to provide training. To me, those were the top 2 things that we had to see. Third one is a deletion and insert to where it says reenacted and hereby read as follows. That's just part of a technical amendment. Amendment 4 is a little more detailed. It's a responsibility for enforcement of the provisions of this chapter is hereby vested in the board and shall have all powers, duties, and authority specifically granted for enforcement, which we needed to make sure there was enforcement and action immediately. Reporting annually to the governor and the presiding officer of each house of the legislature on the condition of the practice of physical therapy in the state, and making recommendations. That way we have an interaction with the boards that we're going to be in front of, or the committees we're going to be in front of. Amendment 5 is the board shall submit a review of its disciplinary process and procedures by the State Inspector General, which Ms. Martin has already had that conversation with those offices, by an independent qualified external auditor recommended by the State Inspector General at least every 5 years. If we need to change that date, we are willing to move that. And require training of all board members and staff members in effective communication with complainants, particularly members of the vulnerable populations who allege mistreatment by licensees. We need to make sure that those people are recognized and we work with them very quickly. Okay. That is the 5 amendments in an overview and summary.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions on the amendment? Senator Morrell.
I appreciate all your work, Mr. Moss. I know that, as you know, I work very closely with a variety of victims' rights groups. I may or may not have more amendments for the floor. If I do, I'll run them by you beforehand, but I will work with them and see if there's some other cleanup language that could help and give more specificity. But I think it's a great start. I appreciate y'all working with us on this, and I look forward. I won't be here anymore, but Karen looks forward to working with Mr. Moss in the future to possibly,
Yeah,
I'm sure you might not be present, Senator, but I'm sure I'll still hear from you. I don't doubt that.
You will hear from me as
Why
a
do you
private
think that?
citizen. As a
I
private
just have that
citizen.
feeling.
As a private citizen, I will gladly harass you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to those conversations.
Yeah, I could see possibly on lines 33 through 35, we may want to tighten that up and offer specificity, but we can do that on the floor. And so we get the intent, and thank you for your work. Is any objection? Senator Morrell offers the amendment 2657. Any objection to the adoption of the amendment? We need 5 people. All right. Any objection? Hearing none, the amendment is adopted. Mr. Papali and welcome, sir.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
thank you, and I appreciate this opportunity to be here and speak. And Senator Carter, I want to
let me, before you get started, we are on House Bill 368, and I know there was some communications with our staff, but this is with respect to the Physical Therapy Board, and I just want to make sure we stay on message here.
with respect.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Yes, I do want to use this opportunity briefly to speak to the meeting last May 15th. Senator Carter, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you for your honoring the military of this country, and to tell you that I had served this country as an officer in the United States Army, a year of which was in Vietnam. I heard about the activities in this committee on the 15th. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Chair. In my estimation, the committee, in effect, ambushed this board that I have worked with for 16 years in a way that I believe undermines this board's ability to protect the public. And at the same time, I believe this committee, perhaps unwittingly, unlawfully interfered in an active investigation and a prosecution. At no time did this committee contact me or request that I be present.
Okay, so let me be clear about what we're doing right now.
All right.
When you asked if you needed to appear because of what had transpired, we told you no. We are talking right now about House Bill 368, which deals with the Physical Therapy Board, and it talks about to determine and collect at the time of new licensure renewal, core set of data elements. And if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that right now. But if you want to talk about something else that already transpired in this committee that's unrelated to this right here, then this is not the place for it. We are not doing.
Can I speak, Madam Chair?
You can speak to this.
How about an amendment to that bill?
If you have an amendment to this bill,
Yes.
you are not a member of the committee. You would have to have one of us offer it.
All right, so I'm done.
No, but you can speak to what you
Well,
would want to amend, and then a member can offer it for you. That is not a problem. So
With all due respect, Madam Chair,
okay.
I have great affinity for this board, notwithstanding what happened to me on the 16th of May.
Okay.
Okay, I support the bill. Anything that would happen, help out my former client, I would wholeheartedly endorse.
Okay.
And my heart and spirit is still with them. I will take this opportunity then to say that what my remarks that I will have will be prepared in a letter detailed to this committee,
Okay.
fully documented. I will send one to the Senate President
Sure.
and to the press, and I thank you for this opportunity.
And Senator Morrell, I would like to.
Thank you. Mr. Pally, if you would. Well, actually, you can go sit down, whatever you want to do. I find it very interesting today that at the very least this committee affords you the opportunity to come speak and to be present. And that the irony is that part of the reason why we had that meeting last week is because there were victims who wanted a hearing and were denied that ability to have one.
That is not true, Senator, and I will make that abundantly clear in my response.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your response, and I appreciate the fact that when you sign a consent agreement without a victim's consent and you do not allow them to go to a hearing, we gave you more today than you gave them. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Senator.
All right. Members, we don't have any more legislative agenda items, and we have moved Representative Schexnayder bill. We'll hear it at the next meeting. Is there? And we have not even. Senator Morrell moves to report where. Yeah, I forgot about that. House Bill 368 as amended. Is there any objection? Hearing none, that bill is reported as amended.